What's going on, everybody? It's D House here from Unplayable, and I just got back from one of the greatest TCG events I've ever participated in, and I knew that I need to tell you more about what I just experienced because it was a draft championship. That's right, limited format, not premiere. It was a draft championship for Star Wars Unlimited. It was so much fun. I did well, and I wanted to debrief the experience with you guys. So, hope you enjoy this. A little bit different kind of a video, a little bit more monologue, explaining some of this stuff. I'm going to go over the event in general, and I'm also going to talk about my pods and games and stuff like that. So, hope you stay locked in with us. On December 21st, 2024, Pastimes in Niles, Illinois, right here outside Chicago, hosted this draft championship. And you may be wondering, what is a draft championship? I'm so glad you asked. The event organized by a TO named Ron Longi. I think that's how you say his last name. I should have asked him, honestly. I feel bad. He's now the former TO of Pastimes and most recent hire by FFG OP. So I think that is a significant question as well, but an exciting question, by the way. He publicized it as an entry-level competitive event for draft play. So the Saturday before Christmas, 34 people showed up to play. There were Star Wars Christmas sweaters everywhere. There's even a plate of Star Wars Unlimited cookies, which you can see on the screen right now, which I love. I'm so grateful for the dad and the son who brought those to enjoy with everybody. It was super fun. So before I get into the structure of the event, let me just say the people who participated in this were awesome. People were serious about their drafting, but there was also a lightheartedness. I don't know if it was just because it was draft or Star Wars or Christmas or all of the above, but it was a really, really fun event. There were 3 kids participating in the event, and they were great players, but it was also really fun because every once in a while, one of them would open a legendary in the draft and gleefully shout for joy, or they'd be past a legendary and they'd be really excited about it. And I think it just, I don't know, it sweetened up the event a little bit. So I got to give it up to Pastimes. Great shop here. They always host the best events. They've hosted a couple PQs now, or they're going to host their second PQ, I guess, depending on when this is posted. But they figured out the event. So Ron and Nate, man, grateful for you guys. Thank you for doing what you did. They had to use multiple programs to organize this because no program can really do this super well, but they figured it out, and the prize support was incredible, as it always is. So I'm not going to bury the lead here. I will just tell you that I went undefeated on the day, going 10-0 in all my games until I finally lost 0-2 in the finals to Ron himself, who's pictured here, and couldn't lose to a better guy, more deserving guy, and I'll get to that a little bit later. But here's how it worked. So there's 6 rounds of Swiss. Rounds 1 through 3, you're in one pod, you draft, and you play 3 games, and that was set 3. The rounds 4 through 6 was your second pod. So you broke into a pod based on your standings. So the top 8 players were in my pod 2, and we drafted set 2, and you played 3 rounds. And at the end of 6 rounds, and these were all best of 1 games, the top 8 players went into a top cut, where we drafted set 1 instead, a brand new pod, and those games were best of 3 since they were top cut. So that's how it worked. It was actually really unique. I love that we got to draft every set, and it kind of worked out that we had 8 in a pod, and then 10 in a pod. Obviously it'd be great if we could have perfect pods of 8, but I think it still worked, and I think you could still do this, and there was no buys or anything like that too. So yeah, what I'm going to do real quickly is I'm going to talk about my pods and how I drafted, how I thought about drafting. I get comments all the time at these events from people who are new to drafting, that they're not sure how to get better or how to think about drafting. And so I'm hoping that maybe some of this could be helpful to newer players to draft, or maybe just in general interesting to people who wanted to do more drafting. So let's get into it. So rounds 1 through 3 was my first pod where we drafted set 3. I've got my deck pictured here, the picture I took at the event. So in the leader round, I took Django and two hero leaders. I don't remember who the hero leaders were, because my pack 1 pick 1, there was a foil P-38 Starfighter in there, and I just thought, man, like, I just think I'm supposed to run Django, and I wasn't sure, but I grabbed the P-38. And still in the first pack, but pick number 4, I get past another P38. So 4 picks, I've got 2 P38s, and I've got Django on the table. I said, the you know, uh, this is just obvious. I have to run Django. This card is so good with Django. I'm gonna go for it. And so grab that. Uh, Pack 1, I basically stuck in yellow. I wasn't sure what was happening to my right, and because you passed left the pack, and so I stayed in yellow because I couldn't pick up the signs of what they were drafting off to my right. And so I did grab one Reckless Torrent, which is the new 3-cost 3/1 with Coordinate. When played, you may deal 2 damage to a friendly unit and 2 damage to an enemy unit in the same arena, thinking that seems pretty good with Django. I'm glad I got it. It came into play many times. It was great board control. It was exhausting. It was killing things. It was just awesome. It was just a really fun card. So I did end up going into red. At one point, I grabbed a Zillow Beast thinking maybe, but I ended up just sticking with red. So grabbing the Dooku unit was clutch. That Dooku unit came into play, I think, every game. And the fact that you can sneak it out, the fact that it is a 6/6 body with Overwhelm, and you can do damage. So if you've got Django on the field on the 6 resource turn, you can drop this and you can exhaust multiple units, or at least just one unit, or you can hit it for 3, or you can hit it for whatever. Like I would do. I remember I exploited a P38 Starfighter with the Dooku so that I could do 3 damage to an Anakin leader and do 1 damage to a big ship on the space arena so that I could exhaust both when Django were out there because of the when defeated trigger. So it was huge. Dooku is such a bomb with Django. So that was really big. The Freelance Assassin was my overperforming MVP. It's the 3-cost yellow 4/2. When played, you may pay 2 if you do deal 2 damage to a unit. Again, damage from units, Django exhaust. So sometimes I'd be on the Django flip turn and just pay 5 for this assassin to deal 2 damage and exhaust, bring out Django. And sometimes it was killing a unit, sometimes it was exhausting a unit, but I've got lots of damage showing. It was just it was very good. Let's see, double Grenade Strike and double Daring Raid was kind of nasty. With all the pings that are happening with the P38s and different places, that was just pretty wild. Never ended up playing Bloodsport, but the rest of the time, it felt really strong to have those 2 cards. Let's see, I played against Quinlan. I beat a Quinlan round 1. I beat Anakin Green, which was a really intense game against a local here named Roger. He had some big, crazy awesome units out there, and I had to work really hard to make sure I was pinging and exhausting at the right time. His Anakin never got to attack. He was on the board the whole time, but every single time I had a chance to deal damage or exhaust somehow, I was able to do it. So was able to sneak it through. Felt like I had to make some big plays in that game. So that was really fun. And yeah, I think overall set 3, I mean, Django's great. But I mean, especially when you're getting lots of ping damage, Django feels really great. I have drafted Django before and it didn't go well, so I'm not saying Django is unbeatable in draft. I just think he's really strong. Just stuff like Geonosis Patrol Fighter at common to be able to bounce non-leader units that cost 3 or less. I mean, you get some great tempo, even if it's not going with Django. It's a really good card. So even Zero the Hutt was actually an overperformer as well. Because you can exhaust when you play, and then you've got a 2/8 body that can just almost repeat, hit something for 2 and exhaust, every turn after that if you need it. So yeah, so that was great. So I went 3-0 in my first pod playing in set 3, and it was super fun. So ended 3-0, got paired with the other top players, and we went into our second pod, and we were drafting Shadows of the Galaxy set 2. As you can see here, went with Ray Green, and a big reason for this is because when I sit down to draft set 2 or do sealed or anything, I'm usually looking for Ray or Hondo. I love drafting Hondo in this set because of all the smuggle. You get a lot of great value. They both seem to get a little bit of extra oomph out there from the experience tokens, and I didn't think I was gonna get a Ray, but I was hoping to get Ray because I saw that John to my right had taken Cad, and I thought he's probably going to go with Cad Bane based on what it looked. and the guy to my left actually had a Ray sitting in front of him when he got past a pack, and I couldn't believe it, but he passed me that Ray. He took something else. I don't know what he took, but I ended up with a Ray, and I just thought that's great. Early on, I knew I was going to stick with Ray because I thought, okay, if John to my right is going to be on Cad Bane, which I think he is, he's going to pass me all the blue hero stuff, which I really need. And thankfully, I was right. I don't remember my pack one, pick one. It could have been Village Protectors. As you can see, I grabbed 3 Village Protectors with Ray, which is just absolutely insane and super frustrating to play against. I also love drafting Clone Deserter with Ray and Moisture Farmer. They're 1-cost guys that you can buff immediately and you get instant value with. And Cargo Juggernaut. Oh my gosh, this card is so slept on in draft. But a 6 cost 4/6 body with shielded, and when played, if you have another blue unit, you heal 4. On the Ray flip turn, when you flip Ray, you're probably restoring 3 with Ray, and you drop Cargo Juggernaut, you're healing 4. So you're healing 7 when you hit 6 resources most of the time, and you're probably healing more with Moisture Farmers and other things. So it's just very good. The fact that I got 3 of them, I actually could have got a 4th. I passed it for something else, but I love that card. I also got the three of Clan Ren Rescuers, so I could get even more experience on, like, if I remember using Ray to buff a Village Protectors, and then I also played Clan Ren Rescuers, so then I had a 4/4 shielded Sentinel, and that felt really great. Let's see. Fun picks. I grabbed the choose sides, the 7-cost like switch a unit, and I've never been able to play this, but I think it actually won me game 2 because I traded a 1/2 Clan Run Rescuer for their Lurking TIE Phantom that they had to get rid of with their own space unit. So it felt great. I gave them something that was hardly useful at all, and I think it definitely helped. And then Wrecker. You see Wrecker, out of aspect Wrecker in here. I grabbed it as early on in one of the packs because I thought I don't want to pass a Wrecker to somebody. That seems too good. And so I didn't think I was going to play, but then I sat there thinking, oh my gosh, like I would pay 8 for Wrecker to deal 5 and have a 7/6 body with Overwhelm. And so I actually went with it. And the funny thing is I have 2 timely interventions in here. So I was able to pull off a timely Wrecker play in draft, which just felt absolutely gross. Getting Fell the Dragon and Rivals Fall, there's in set 2, there's not a lot of unit removal stuff. So to grab one of each of those was awesome and felt strong. Loved that. Even the double Y-Wings, the Gray Squadron Y-Wings, to be able to buff that with Ray in space, and they're just taking a ton of damage. It really adds up, and it was kind of it was just ultimately too much. Eventually, I played John and his Cad Bane deck, and it was the Y-Wings at the end who were just doing so much damage. It closed the game out. So I went 3-0 in this pod as well. I beat another Ray. I beat a really great Gar Saxon deck that was really solid. It was just really good. Gar Saxon's another great set 2 draft pick. And I beat the Cad Bane. So felt great. Loved playing with Ray in this set and drafting Ray. So finished 6-0. I was the only undefeated over the 2 pods. So then we had a little bit of a break. Grabbed some chicken teriyaki, and then came back and drafted set 1 for top 8. And here you can see I ended up drafting Leia Red. My options were Leia, Grand Inquisitor, or IG-88. I have drafted IG-88 for set 1. I think IG-88 is a totally reasonable choice for drafting in set 1 because he just hits like a tank, and he hits hard. And if you're not careful, it can really just snowball on you. So I thought I was going to go villain. I thought I was just going to go villain because I looked to my right, and my buddy John was to my right again, ironically. And I saw that he had Sabine, and he plays Sabine all the time. So I'm like, there's no way he's not going Sabine. So if I went Leia, that would make no sense. But I opened my packs. I'm looking at my options. My best option in pack 1, pick 1, was a wing leader. I said, well, let me grab this wing leader. Maybe there's a Leia play. I think wing leader is very good. And then I get the pack from John, and there's a wing leader in there as well. And so my first 2 packs, I've got 2 wing leaders, and I'm looking at Leia like, I think I've got to go Leia. Is John not drafting Sabine? Spoiler alert, he was drafting Sabine, but he didn't decide to stick with Sabine until like pick 4 or 5, he told me later. So I think that's why I snuck out with the wing leader. He ended up with a great Sabine deck, and I still ended up with, I think, a great Leia deck made to the finals, even though we were both on red green rebels. So do with that what you will. But set one feels good with rebels. You can see in here, like at one point someone said, I feel like I'm playing a constructed Leia deck because I had 3 A-Wings, 2 Rebel Pathfinders, 2 Wing Leaders, 2 Fighters for Freedom, and just some other Rebels and Red 3 draft. Oh man, seeing the Red 3 come around felt like a chef's kiss. I got a Rebel Assault in there. The Keep Fighting's fun to be able to ready Leia and do a second attack, or grab an A-Wing that's been wing leadered and then ready, and then you actually hit for 5, which I did a few times. So that was super fun. Even the Partisan Insurgent, I don't love it, but it still felt pretty good to be a rebel that I could wing leader onto. Let's see. So round 1, I played against a guy named Scott, and he was on Jin Urso, and actually he played it really great. And there were some moments in game 1, it got very close at the end. He had a Zeb Aurelios out there really destroying my unit, like just threatening a lot. But I was able to sneak in the last little pieces of damage because of Fighters for Freedom and being able to play red cards and get the extra damage. In game 2, I actually had the perfect A-Wing into wing leader start, so I was just swinging super hard really fast. So I was able to sneak round 1 of top 8 with 2-0 win. Round 2, played against my buddy John Griffin, who has been very involved in the scene. He judges and TOs events a lot. Great dude. He was on Krennic. No, not Krennic. He was on Tarkin. He was on Tarkin, and it was kind of scary at times. In game 1, he had a shore trooper that had like, I don't know, 12 power or something like that. It was insanely strong. And I wasn't sure if I'd be able to sneak it out because he was just nuking my guys on the ground side, but my space presence was super strong, and I was able to I had multiple buffed wing leaders. I didn't mention the academy training in this deck was an MVP for sure because I was able to do throw the wing or academy training on a wing leader, turn it into 4/3, or put on Leia or put it on whatever. It was really stinking good. Even Carabas came in really handy on some of that, but was able to sneak the game 1 win in, and then game 2, I think I don't remember much about game 2, but I just remember I won. So anyways, 2-0 that game. Went to the finals when I finally had to play against Ron, who organized the event, but someone else was TOing and judging. And he was on Boba Fett. I thought I was done. With Boba Fett. But in draft, you can play Boba Fett. So I tried so hard, but gosh, I was reminded why Boba Fett got suspended because it was just gross. Like, it was just so hard to do things. Game 1, I did get to the place like if I drew Rebel Assault at the end, I would have snuck out the win. But the problem was he had 3 bounty hunter crews. I don't think anybody else was on Yellow Villain in our pod. He had 3 bounty hunter crews, so he could ambush kill basically all of my ground units without dying because they don't have enough power to kill it back. And he kept bringing back shoot first. I think he said shoot first was like his pack 1 pick 1 with Boba. And so I think I heard shoot first like 6 or 7 times over 2 games, and it was just tough. Like I tried, but I couldn't get it. He had a sweet Sentinel play in one round that stopped my 97th Legion from potentially having lethal. Couldn't do anything about it, and he definitely won. So again, if I had to lose to someone in the finals after a day like that, I want it to be Ron. He's a great community builder. He's done so much for the game. FFG even hired him to help with OP, and I couldn't be more thrilled for them, for him, for all that. So the top 8 did decide to split pricing before we started because it was all packs, and basically what ended up being was that every single person in top 8 walked away with 39 packs, which was 13 from set 1, set 2, set 3, plus the 9 you got from drafting. So it ended up with like 48 packs or something crazy like that. And I was totally fine with that. I would have gotten more if I hadn't split, but splitting made it feel way more fun, honestly. So, all right, lessons from the day, reflections, just about drafting in general. Number 1, don't be rigid, but don't wait either. I think sometimes if you're like, okay, I have to play this leader and I'm going this way, you might be passing up on some sweet plays. But also I would say if you're new to drafting, don't be afraid to be like, hey, I'm getting past all the yellow villain stuff, and I've got a yellow villain leader. Maybe I'm gonna keep getting this stuff, and I should lock in this guy early. Like I said, I was in all three of my drafts. I was on my leader within the first 3 or 4 picks. Like I knew exactly what I was doing. So, go for value, not fireworks. And by fireworks, I mean combos. I don't mean bombs. Bombs in draft are awesome. Bombs are like the Count Dooku unit with Django. He's a bomb. He just hits the board. He immediately has impact. So good. Bombs are awesome, but go for value. Don't think like, oh man, if I get this card and this card, and they're out at the same time, I could win so many games. It's like, no, just stick with the value cards. Grab your wing leaders, grab your fleet lieutenants, some of that stuff. And I think you'll be happy. And the last thing I thought is just the person to your right is more important than the person to your left. And by that, I mean, when you're drafting, you draft the leaders and you pass to the right, but you're passing packs to the left. And so to the packs, the person to your right is going to be passing the majority of the cards to you. And so you really want to lock in what is the person to my right and the person to their right doing. Look at their leaders, kind of study what options they have, and try to put yourself in their position if you can. It's not always really simple, but if you can do that, it's going to help your draft picks really well. Pictures on the screen. Bottom left is our top 8 pods. So you can see everyone in there. And you can see Phil on there for the first time ever. Oh, Phil was in my pod 2 when we were doing set 2. But Phil opened 3 packs of Shadows. All 3 were Boba Fett, the hero Boba Fett leader. I've never seen that happen. I've drafted this a ton. I've never seen someone open the same exact 3 leaders in 3 packs. And so I did feel bad, but it was such a funny moment. We were all laughing, and I had to take a picture and share that as well. So yeah. Final thoughts. I loved this format. I'm not lying. This was maybe my favorite event I've ever played in. I love draft. I think it's beautiful. I think the game is perfect for it. I think it's great for community and for competition. It felt like everyone was a little bit more excited because there's this idea that when you go into a draft that everybody's on an equal playing field. It's not that someone has practiced more, someone has better cards or more money or whatever. It's like we're all getting the same packs and we all have to make decisions and we all have to play well. So I think it just makes for a really fun event, even if it is competitive. I really like the multiple pods. I thought that was an elegant way of doing this. The best of 1 games in pod 1 and 2 in the Swiss rounds, it felt right. And then changing to best of 3 in the top 8 also felt correct because obviously there was more at stake. And even though I think all of the top 8 games did go 2-0, so maybe it wouldn't have mattered, but I do think it feels better for each person to be able to have best of 3 in the top cut. I love that this combines different skills. You have to be a great player, but you also have to make great decisions in the moment and swerve and be able to pivot and think outside the box, and you're running out of aspect stuff and stuff that hasn't been seen and you can't anticipate as much. So I would highly advocate for FFG using this format in top competitive play to prove how good people are, not just at playing, but for evaluating cards and making decisions. There's lots of games that incorporate draft into big competitive events, and I really, really hope that FFG considers draft at a competitive level, not just at a casual level, but competitively as well. I think it's so good. I can't overstate this. I think draft is so good in this game. So if you're not drafting, get some friends. Even my neighbor, he hosted a kitchen table draft a couple weeks ago. We had 12 people around his kitchen table drafting. It was super fun. And it's just an elegant way to play this game. So, that's it. Ron, Pastimes, everybody who was involved, thank you for hosting this. I hope other stores think about maybe running a draft championship with this format as well. Don't hesitate to reach out to me, and I'm sure Ron would be happy to share how he figured out all the different pieces as well. So that'll do it, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.